The different religions have different names. The Jews call the two arches together the Gate of Mercy. According to Jewish tradition, the Messiah will enter Jerusalem through this gate.
In an event that has left many in awe, the ancient Golden Gate in Jerusalem, sealed for centuries, has suddenly opened. This is no ordinary gate. Locked since the 16th century, it holds a prophetic significance tied to the return of Jesus Christ. The prophet Ezekiel foretold that this gate would remain closed until the arrival of a prince, recognized by Christians as the Messiah. Could this astonishing occurrence signal the fulfillment of prophecy? What does it mean for humanity, and is this our final call to be with him? Stay with us as we explore the profound spiritual implications of this extraordinary moment.
This is the Golden Gate. It's the East Gate. It's known as the Mercy Gate to Jerusalem. As you can tell, it's been sealed up for a long, long time.
The Golden Gate of Jerusalem, often referred to as the Eastern Gate, holds profound spiritual, historical, and prophetic significance. Its importance is deeply rooted in biblical prophecy, particularly a passage from the prophet Ezekiel. In chapter 44, verse 2 of his writings, Ezekiel foretells that this gate would remain shut until a prince believed by Christians to be Jesus Christ returns. This prophecy imbues the Golden Gate with a symbolism far beyond its architectural features, elevating it as a beacon of hope and a testament to the grand narrative of salvation outlined in the Bible. The Eastern Gate is more than just an ancient structure. It is a cornerstone of Jerusalem's religious and historical identity. Revered by Jews, Christians, and Muslims, the gate's significance transcends physical dimensions, becoming a focal point for understanding the intersection of faith, history, and prophecy. For Jews and Christians alike, the gate is traditionally considered the entry point for the Messiah into Jerusalem. This belief is deeply rooted in religious traditions and scriptural prophecies, where the closed gates symbolize the anticipation of a divine arrival. These sealed gates represent not merely a physical barrier, but also an enduring emblem of collective hopes, faith, and spiritual aspirations passed down through generations. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Golden Gate's history is its deliberate sealing by Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent in the 16th century. This act, while ostensibly a defensive measure, carries profound religious implications. Many saw Suleiman's decision as a fulfillment of biblical prophecies, a tangible indication that ancient predictions were unfolding and that monumental events were on the horizon. The sealed gate serves as a poignant reminder of how human decisions, historical occurrences, and spiritual expectations intertwine, reverberating through time and shaping the beliefs of diverse communities. For Christians, the symbolism of the Golden Gate goes even deeper. The closed gate represents a spiritual truth central to Christian doctrine: Jesus Christ as the singular bridge between humanity and God. This belief is magnified by the anticipation of Christ's second coming, an event many Christians associate with the reopening of this gate. According to Christian eschatology, this momentous act will signal the fulfillment of God's promises and the ushering in of a new era of divine rule. Thus, the Golden Gate stands as a powerful metaphor for Jesus' role in bridging the gap between the earthly and the divine, encapsulating past prophecies, historical events, and the hope of future salvation. The enduring mystery surrounding the Golden Gate only adds to its allure. As one of Jerusalem's 8 main gates, it faces the Mount of Olives and holds the distinction of being the oldest gate in the city walls, dating back to approximately 520 AD. Its location ties it to significant events in the life of Jesus Christ, including his triumphal entry into Jerusalem, further cementing its importance in Christian tradition. The gate's closure enhances its mystique, leading to various interpretations and fueling discussions among scholars, theologians, and believers. For many, the sealed gate is not just a relic of the past, but a living symbol that bridges Jerusalem's historical narrative with its spiritual significance. The Golden Gate's story is not limited to Christian and Jewish traditions. It resonates deeply within Islamic tradition as well. Jerusalem, as a city sacred to Muslims, houses the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, both situated near the Temple Mount. The Islamic significance of the gate intertwines with broader narratives of Jerusalem as a city of divine encounters and spiritual importance. Sultan Sulayman's sealing of the gate in 1541 was an act steeped in theological and political strategy, aiming to solidify Muslim control while also acknowledging the gate's prophetic associations. This act demonstrates how the Golden Gate serves as a touchstone for understanding the complex interplay between faith, history, and power. For Jews, the Golden Gate is known as Sha'ar Harachamim, or the Gate of Mercy. Its proximity to the Temple Mount makes it a sacred site for prayer and reflection. In Jewish tradition, this gate has deep spiritual connotations, symbolizing mercy and divine grace. It is also believed to be the gate through which the Shekinah, the divine presence, once entered the temple. The gate's connection to the ancient temple rituals highlights its enduring role in Jewish faith and heritage. The architectural history of the Golden Gate reveals layers of Jerusalem's past. The current structure, believed to have been built during the Byzantine era around 520 AD, rests on the foundations of older gates. Beneath its sealed entrance, remnants of an ancient arch can still be seen, offering a glimpse into its storied past. Historical records suggest that earlier iterations of the gate date back to the reign of King Hezekiah, with subsequent reconstructions during the time of Zerubbabel, the Hasmonean dynasty, and the Herodian period. These architectural layers underscore the gate's centrality in Jerusalem's evolving narrative, reflecting the city's resilience and spiritual significance across millennia. One particularly fascinating aspect of the gate's history involves its connection to ancient Jewish rituals. Rabbi Eliezer, a prominent Jewish scholar, described a special path leading to the gate, constructed of marble pillars and cedar boards. This path was reserved for the high priest and his assistants during major religious ceremonies, such as the rituals with the red heifer or the scapegoat on Yom Kippur. Known as the Shushan Gate, this sacred passage underscores the Golden Gate's role in facilitating profound spiritual encounters and its significance within Jewish religious practices. For Christians, the gate's sealed entrance carries a dual symbolism of anticipation and fulfillment. It represents the fulfillment of Ezekiel's prophecy that the gate would remain closed until the return of the Prince, a figure many Christians identify as Jesus Christ. This belief aligns with the Christian doctrine of the Second Coming, where the reopening of the gate heralds the dawn of a new era. The gate's closure serves as a powerful reminder of the spiritual truth that Jesus is the sole path to reconciliation with God, echoing his words in the Gospel of John. "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." John 14:6. The Golden Gate also symbolizes resilience and hope. Jerusalem, a city that has endured countless conflicts and transformations, is epitomized by the enduring presence of this gate. It stands as a testament to the unshakable faith of those who revere it and to the city's indomitable spirit. The gate's sealed state invites reflection on the interconnectedness of past, present, and future, reminding believers of the enduring nature of divine promises and the hope of redemption. The Golden Gate's enduring mystique and significance continue to inspire people across faiths. Its story encapsulates the interplay of religious prophecy, historical events, and spiritual aspirations. Whether viewed as the Gate of Mercy in Jewish tradition, a herald of Christ's return in Christianity, or a symbol of Jerusalem's sacred character in Islam, the Golden Gate remains a powerful testament to the enduring power of faith. It bridges the temporal and the eternal, inviting believers to contemplate the profound truths that have shaped the spiritual lives of millions. In the heart of Jerusalem, the Golden Gate endures as a symbol of divine promises and human faith. Its sealed entrance, facing the Mount of Olives, connects it to pivotal moments in history and prophecy, making it a focal point for theological reflection and devotion. As a testament to the intertwining of history, faith, and prophecy, the Golden Gate continues to inspire awe and reverence, standing as a timeless symbol of hope, redemption, and the unyielding spirit of Jerusalem and its people. The Golden Gate, also known as the Eastern Gate, holds a remarkable and intricate history steeped in religious significance, architectural innovation, and political intrigue. This iconic structure, part of Jerusalem's ancient walls, serves as a testament to the city's layered past. One perspective on its origins suggests it was built in the 7th century by Byzantine craftsmen under the direction of the Umayyad caliphs. However, this account merely scratches the surface of its rich legacy. Leon Rittmeyer, a Dutch archaeologist who conducted detailed studies of the Golden Gate in the 1970s, proposed an intriguing theory. He argued that the large gate posts embedded within the current structure might belong to an older gateway, potentially the Shushan Gate. The Shushan Gate, mentioned in Mishnah Midat 1:3, is described as the sole eastern wall gate from the First Temple period. If Rittmeyer's hypothesis holds true, the Golden Gate may connect to a far older chapter of Jerusalem's history, blending ancient traditions with later architectural developments. The religious significance of the Golden Gate is further highlighted by the philosopher Maimonides, who detailed the rituals associated with the East Gate during the Second Temple period. According to Jewish law, those entering through the East Gate would traverse a flat pathway until reaching the rampart's end. From there, they would ascend a flight of 12 steps leading to the Court of Women. These steps, each half a cubit in height and depth, underscore the gate's importance in facilitating ancient ceremonies and religious processions. The meticulous architectural design reflected the spiritual weight attributed to the site. Throughout its history, the Golden Gate has undergone numerous transformations, particularly during the Ottoman Empire. A small recess on the gate's western side became a hub for brickmaking, supporting the maintenance of buildings within the Haram esh-Sharif, also known as the Temple Mount. To accommodate this activity, a small mosque was constructed nearby. In the 19th century, however, the mosque and part of the gate's wall were demolished on orders from the Sultan to make way for further enhancements. This led to the addition of 2 new arches and an extended section of the western wall, reshaping the gate's appearance and function. Perhaps one of the most compelling episodes in the gate's history is its conversion into a watchtower by the Ottomans. Access to the gatehouse from the Temple Mount required descending a wide staircase into a rectangular ground floor measuring 24 meters in length and 17 meters in width. This space, supported by thick exterior walls, was divided into 2 equal parts by columns. Beneath ground level, the top of an ancient arch could be seen, its lower stones still buried, suggesting that the original ground level was much lower than it is today. This adaptation demonstrates the enduring strength and versatility of the Golden Gate, as well as the ingenuity of its various caretakers over the centuries. Architecturally, the Golden Gate distinguishes itself from other gates in Jerusalem. Unlike its counterparts, which blend seamlessly into the surrounding walls, the Golden Gate's eastern facade extends outward by approximately 2 meters, making it a prominent and striking feature. Richly adorned, the gate's facade showcases the craftsmanship of its builders. The structure contains 2 main passages, evident in its design. On the ground floor, a vaulted hall is divided into 2 aisles by 4 sturdy columns, leading visitors to 2 significant doors: the Door of Mercy, Bab al-Rahmah, and the Door of Repentance, Bab al-Tawbah. Above the hall is a room with 2 grand roof domes and 3 pairs of smaller domes over the pathways below, adding to its architectural grandeur. Historically, the gate's eastern side featured 2 large doorways, each framed by a semicircular arch and a decorative band. These doorways, divided by a strong column, measured 3.90 meters in width. Sealed during the Ottoman period, they give the gate a solemn and imposing appearance. The Golden Gate's design bears a resemblance to other structures in the Levant region, reflecting a blend of diverse cultural influences that have shaped its evolution over time. The interior of the Golden Gate further emphasizes its architectural significance. The main hall, accessed through the gate's openings, leads to a rectangular domed space measuring 20.37 meters in length and 10.50 meters in width. Originally, this area was covered by 6 shallow elliptical domes, later replaced by 2 larger domes. These domes rest on arches rising from pilasters at the entrances and 2 central columns, creating a rhythmic and harmonious design that guides visitors through this historic and spiritual area. One of the most enigmatic chapters in the gate's history is its sealing by Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent in 1541. While the closure likely had defensive motivations, it also carries significant religious symbolism. According to Jewish tradition, the Messiah is prophesied to enter Jerusalem through the Golden Gate. Suleiman, aware of this belief and understanding that Muslims also revere Jesus as the Messiah, might have sealed the gate to deter false messiahs from attempting to enter the city. To further solidify this deterrent, the Ottomans established a cemetery in front of the gate, believing it would prevent Elijah, who, according to prophecy, will precede the Messiah, from crossing the area. However, Jewish laws contain provisions allowing priests to enter cemeteries under specific circumstances, adding another layer of complexity to this historical narrative. In more recent times, the Golden Gate has remained a focal point of religious and political tensions. In 2003, Israeli authorities closed access to the gate on the Temple Mount, citing concerns over its management by a group linked to Hamas. This decision was also aimed at halting unauthorized construction activities by the Islamic Waqf, which were causing damage to ancient Jewish artifacts. Despite these challenges, the interior of the gate was reopened to Muslim worshippers in February 2019, though the gate itself remains sealed. The ongoing closure of the Golden Gate underscores the intricate interplay of history, religion, and politics that continues to define its story. Far more than a mere architectural structure, the gate is a passage through time and culture, embodying the artistic and engineering brilliance of its creators. Its design, historical significance, and cultural influences make the Golden Gate a unique and fascinating feature of the Al-Aqsa area. The enduring allure of the Golden Gate lies in its ability to captivate the imagination of people from all walks of life. Whether considered through the lens of archaeology, religion, or architecture, the gate remains a symbol of Jerusalem's dynamic history. Its sealed doors invite reflection on the mysteries of the past, while its imposing presence serves as a reminder of the city's resilience and significance. As scholars, worshippers, and visitors continue to explore its story, the Golden Gate stands as a bridge between ancient traditions and modern aspirations, a testament to the enduring spirit of Jerusalem. For centuries, Jerusalem has stood as a city of immense religious significance, with its walls and gates embodying the complex history of the region. Among these, the Eastern Gate, also known as the Golden Gate, holds a particularly profound place in the hearts of believers and historians alike. Unlike other gates that have been torn down and rebuilt numerous times, the Eastern Gate has remained in its original location throughout history, a silent witness to the unfolding events around it. The gate's current state can be traced back to the Ottoman Empire, specifically during the reign of Suleiman the Magnificent. Between 1539 and 1542, Suleiman undertook a massive reconstruction of Jerusalem's walls. Interestingly, while most of the city underwent significant changes, the Eastern Gate was left largely untouched. This decision was more than just a practical construction choice. It had deep symbolic significance. Large stones dating back to the 6th century BC, possibly from the time of Nehemiah, hint at the gate's ancient roots. But the true intrigue lies in what happened in 1541. In that year, Suleiman ordered the eastern gate to be sealed shut. This act was not merely a defensive measure. It carried profound religious implications. The sealing of the gate is believed to have fulfilled a prophecy from the biblical book of Ezekiel, written more than 2,000 years earlier. This prophecy, found in Ezekiel 44, 1-2, states that the gate should be shut because the Lord, the God of Israel, has passed through it. Suleiman, a devout Muslim, might have had his reasons for sealing the gate, yet his actions inadvertently aligned with a biblical prophecy, demonstrating the complex interplay between different faiths and their shared reverence for this ancient city. The Eastern Gate has faced challenges over the centuries, but it has remained steadfast, its sealed entrance becoming a symbol of both division and unity. During the Six-Day War in 1967, Jewish soldiers considered forcing open the gate, viewing it as a significant military and spiritual victory. However, an Orthodox Jewish leader vehemently opposed this idea. He believed that the gate should remain closed until the arrival of the Messiah, a belief deeply rooted in Jewish tradition. This decision to keep the gate sealed underscores the gate's spiritual importance and its connection to Messianic expectations. But the story of the Eastern Gate doesn't end there. In World War I in 1917, Muslim authorities reportedly planned to demolish the gate entirely, aiming to erase the prophecy's power and assert control over the city. However, their plans were thwarted when, on the very day they intended to destroy the gate, Jerusalem came under British control. This unexpected turn of events added yet another layer of mystery and spiritual significance to the Eastern Gate story, as if each group's actions were part of a larger, unseen pattern of destiny and belief. The Eastern Gate is also central to Jewish messianic expectations. Jewish rabbis believe that when the Messiah comes, he will enter Jerusalem through the Eastern Gate, heralding a new era of freedom and peace for the city. To prevent this from happening, Muslim authorities sealed the gate centuries ago and placed a cemetery in front of it, believing that no devout rabbi would cross a graveyard, thereby keeping the prophecy from coming true. However, this action only served to highlight the prophecy they sought to prevent, adding another layer of complexity to the gate's symbolic significance. The mix of actions, prophecies, and religious traditions surrounding the Eastern Gate is also reflected in the New Testament. In the book of Acts, Peter quotes the prophet Joel to explain the events of Pentecost, which are often associated with the second coming of Christ. Although Jesus himself does not explicitly mention the Eastern Gate, Peter's use of prophecy hints at a deeper meaning, suggesting that the Golden Gate might serve as a foretaste of future events, possibly linked to the millennial kingdom. The term foretaste suggests that the Golden Gate offers a preview of what is to come, allowing believers to see it as an early sign of the future Eastern Gate's role in the millennial kingdom. However, this interpretation must be balanced with the Bible's clear teachings rather than relying solely on historical events or long-standing traditions. Some theological scholars debate the belief that links the Golden Gate with Ezekiel's visions of a temple gate, noting that these ideas can differ significantly. Many scholars argue that Ezekiel's prophecy referred to a gate in a future temple, not the current Golden Gate. Adding to the gate's mystique is a Jewish tradition that links the sealed Golden Gate with the anticipated return of the Shekinah, the divine presence of God during the Messianic age. This tradition elevates the Golden Gate from a mere architectural feature to a symbol of hope and divine promise. It suggests that the gate's unique location and long closure might foreshadow the appearance of an East Gate in the future millennial temple, a gate marked by its special status and deep spiritual significance. Through all these traditions, scriptures, and human actions, the story of the Eastern Gate remains a central part of the ongoing discussions about Jerusalem's destiny and the unfolding of divine prophecies. Nearly 500 years ago, Sultan Suleiman, a prominent Muslim leader, made the bold decision to seal the Eastern Gate with 16 feet of cement. This act was not just about strengthening the city's defenses. It carried important religious meanings as well. Suleiman likely wanted to prevent any events that could align with Christian prophecies concerning the Messiah's arrival. The Eastern Gate, also known as the Golden Gate, continues to intrigue those who study religious predictions and biblical prophecies. The book of Ezekiel mentions this gate several times, linking it to significant events in both the past and the future. For example, Ezekiel 10:18-19 describes the glory of the Lord leaving the temple through this gate and heading towards the Mount of Olives. Later, in Ezekiel 11:23, the glory of the Lord returns to the temple from the same direction. These passages connect the gate to a prophecy that links past events with future hopes. In Ezekiel 43:1-5, the prophet describes the glory of the Lord re-entering the temple through the Eastern Gate, symbolizing a significant spiritual renewal. However, Ezekiel 44:1-2 adds an intriguing twist, stating that the gate should be shut because the Lord has passed through it, suggesting that no one else is worthy to enter through it afterward. But perhaps the most intriguing passage comes in Ezekiel 46:12, which mentions a prince who will be allowed to use the gate for offerings. Many believe this is a direct reference to Jesus Christ, linking the prophecy to the New Testament account of Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem, as described in Matthew 21:1-11. The sealing of the gate by Muslim authorities has led to ongoing speculation among those who believe that the gate will only be opened when Christ returns for his second coming, entering Jerusalem through the now closed Eastern Gate, as foretold in Zechariah 14:4. But the story doesn't end there. This interpretation sparks debates and keeps people guessing about the future, focusing on the day when the Eastern Gate might open again. Such an event would hold deep religious significance for believers around the world, serving as a powerful symbol of the fulfillment of ancient prophecies and the ultimate triumph of divine will over human actions. The Golden Gate, also known as Bab al-Rahmah, holds profound spiritual and historical significance, particularly within the context of Bayt al-Maqdis during the era of Muslim rule. Located on the eastern wall of the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, this gate is deeply intertwined with Islamic eschatological beliefs. Early Islamic figures such as Ubadah ibn al-Samit, a close companion of the Prophet Muhammad, recognized the spiritual connections between this gate and themes of the end times. However, Islamic scholar Ibn Kathir clarified that the gate should not be conflated with the one mentioned in the Quranic verse. So a wall will be put up between them, with a gate therein. Surah 57, verse 13. Despite this distinction, early Islamic scholars frequently referred to this gate in their interpretations, which may have influenced the long-standing tradition of burying the dead just outside the eastern wall of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The name Al-Rahmah, meaning mercy, associated with this gate, hints at ancient origins, possibly dating back to its original construction. The name carries a profound symbolic connection to the site, particularly the sacred rock within the Al-Aqsa Mosque, often associated with the events of the last day in Islamic theology. This makes Bab al-Rahmah not merely a physical structure, but a symbolic representation of divine mercy and paradise. Constructed during the early days of Islamic rule, the gate stands as a monumental structure, embodying religious, historical, and architectural significance within the Muslim community. From a Jewish perspective, the Eastern Gate, including the Golden Gate, is revered as a sacred location. It is traditionally believed to be the site where the Shekinah, or divine presence, once appeared, and where it will return with the coming of the Messiah, as prophesied in Ezekiel 44:1-3. This prophecy further emphasizes the holiness of the gate, making it a focal point of religious devotion and aspirations. During medieval times, Particularly the Crusader period, Jews often gathered near this site to pray for divine mercy, viewing the gate as a portal to spiritual transcendence and connection with God. Known in Hebrew as Sha'ar Harakamim, or the Gate of Mercy, the Golden Gate's spiritual importance extends into Christian traditions. Although not directly mentioned in the Bible, Christian belief holds that this gate was the setting for a pivotal meeting between Mary's parents, Joachim and Anne. This encounter is closely linked to the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception, the belief that Mary was conceived without original sin. Artistic depictions often portray this meeting at the Golden Gate, emphasizing its theological significance and connection to key moments in Mary's life. This narrative reinforces the gate's symbolic role in Christian tradition, portraying it as a site of divine intervention and grace. Some scholars argue that the Golden Gate may also correspond to the Beautiful Gate mentioned in the book of Acts, chapter 3, though this identification is debated. The confusion largely arises from the Latin term aurea, meaning golden, and the Greek term horos, meaning beautiful. Despite this ambiguity, the gate remains a site of great historical and spiritual importance, particularly in connection with the life of Jesus Christ. According to the Gospels, Jesus entered Jerusalem through this gate on Palm Sunday, riding a donkey in fulfillment of Zechariah's prophecy, which is further echoed in Ezekiel 44:1-3. This moment, described in the Synoptic Gospels, solidifies the gate's significance as a place of fulfilled prophecy and divine presence. The narrative begins with Jesus descending from the Mount of Olives and proceeding toward the Temple Mount, as recounted in Mark 11:1 and 11:11. The Gospel of John adds that Pharisees observed this moment, possibly from the Temple Mount itself. This event, pivotal in Christian eschatology, underscores the gate's role in fulfilling divine promises, further elevating its sacred status. For Muslims, the Golden Gate, Bab al-Rahmah, is more than a historical structure. It is also regarded as the gate of eternal life. Islamic beliefs hold that this is the location where Allah will conduct the final judgment and where the resurrection will occur. The association of this site with themes of divine mercy and judgment underscores its deep spiritual resonance. Interestingly, the shared reverence for this gate in both Christian and Muslim traditions highlights a unique spiritual connection between the two faiths, each attributing distinct yet overlapping significance to the site. This shared veneration enhances the gate's historical and religious narrative, symbolizing a profound intersection of belief systems. In Jewish tradition, the Eastern Gate's role is equally central in eschatological discussions. The Golden Gate is seen as vital in the Jewish understanding of the Messiah's arrival, both in historical and future contexts. This connection often made the gate a focal point of religious devotion and theological interpretation. During the medieval period, Jewish traditions influenced Christian art, leading to depictions of events such as the meeting of Joachim and Anne at the Golden Gate. These portrayals not only honored the gate's sanctity, but also linked it to broader themes of divine mercy and the fulfillment of prophecy. The symbolic resonance of the Golden Gate extends into cultural traditions, such as the custom of a groom carrying his bride over a threshold, which may trace its origins to the gate's symbolism. In medieval art, the Immaculate Conception of Mary is often depicted in paintings featuring the Virgin Mary and Saint Anne, emphasizing purity and divine favor. These artworks, known as the Materza in Italian, often portrayed three generations: grandmother, mother, and son. This imagery has inspired theological works, including Pope John Paul II's writings on the theology of the body. His reflections, compiled in Crossing the Threshold of Hope, sought to deepen Catholic faith by exploring themes of divine mercy and human redemption, drawing inspiration from the Golden Gate's spiritual symbolism. As the world approached the turn of the millennium, the Golden Gate gained renewed attention as a symbol of the tension between materialism and spirituality. This period marked a significant moment in religious discourse, as believers sought to navigate the growing divide between the physical and spiritual realms. The Golden Gate, often viewed as a representation of the mystical body of the Church, served as a powerful emblem in Christian eschatology. Its association with the first light of dawn in the East resonated with the Christian belief in Christ's resurrection and the hope of eternal life. In eschatological narratives across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the Golden Gate remains a focal point. Its physical presence, combined with its spiritual and symbolic significance, has made it a site of pilgrimage, reflection, and theological exploration for centuries. For Jews, the gate represents the ultimate fulfillment of Messianic prophecy, while for Christians, it is a testament to Christ's triumph and return. For Muslims, it is a place where the final judgment will occur, symbolizing divine mercy and justice. The Golden Gate's enduring legacy as a spiritual and historical landmark continues to draw believers and scholars alike. Its unique ability to bridge different faiths, serving as a shared symbol of divine mercy and eschatological hope, ensures its relevance in contemporary religious discourse. As a gateway to faith, prophecy, and divine connection, the Golden Gate stands as a testament to the enduring power of sacred sites to inspire and unite humanity across generations. The belief that Christ will return from the East is a cornerstone of Christian tradition, deeply woven into the spiritual and cultural fabric of the faith. This idea is not only a theological concept, but one that has profoundly shaped Christian architecture, city planning, and even daily life for centuries. Churches, monasteries, and other sacred spaces have often been deliberately constructed to face east, symbolizing the anticipation of Christ's triumphant return. This architectural orientation serves as a physical manifestation of a spiritual truth, grounding the hope of Christ's second coming in the physical world. The tradition of facing east holds both symbolic and practical significance. Historically, the direction east is associated with the rising sun, which represents renewal, resurrection, and the promise of new life. This connection is particularly poignant when considering the events of Easter morning. Early Christians, reflecting on the resurrection of Christ at dawn, embraced this orientation as a way to align their worship with the miracle of the risen Savior. Thus, churches facing east not only commemorate the resurrection, but also serve as a daily reminder of the faithful's hope for the future fulfillment of Christ's promise to return. The practice of eastward orientation extends beyond individual buildings to the broader design of cities. Many ancient Christian cities incorporated gates, streets, and landmarks that deliberately faced east, embedding the spiritual expectation of Christ's return into the physical layout of daily life. This was not simply about practicality or aesthetics. It was an intentional choice to integrate faith into the everyday experience of believers. By doing so, early Christians ensured that the hope of Christ's return remained ever present in the minds of those who walked their streets or entered their gates. This architectural and urban design tradition reflects a profound intertwining of remembrance and anticipation, two central elements of Christian faith. Facing east serves not merely as a retrospective acknowledgement of the resurrection, but also as a forward-looking expression of hope for Christ's return. It creates a spiritual continuum that links the past, present, and future, allowing believers to connect historical events with their current faith practices and their eschatological hopes. This symbolic alignment acts as a bridge, enabling Christians to live in a state of readiness and expectation while grounding their faith in the tangible realities of their surroundings. The symbolism of the eastward orientation transcends physical structures and permeates the spiritual lives of believers. It acts as a constant reminder of the promise of Christ's return, ensuring that this hope remains central to their daily lives. This practice transforms the act of worship from a periodic event into a lived experience. By aligning their spaces with the East, Christians foster a sense of unity and shared purpose, creating a communal reaffirmation of faith. This daily orientation bridges the gap between historical remembrance and future hope, integrating the spiritual journey into the fabric of ordinary life. This tradition also finds expression in specific religious landmarks, where architecture and faith converge to create spaces that inspire devotion and reflection. One such example is the Ostra Brahma, or Gate of Dawn, in Vilnius, Lithuania. This gate houses the revered icon of Our Lady of the Gate of Dawn, venerated by both Roman Catholic and Orthodox Christians. The icon is more than a symbol of religious devotion. It embodies the dual purpose of providing spiritual blessings and protecting the city. Its placement at a prominent city gate underscores the intersection of faith and daily life, demonstrating how religious symbols can serve both practical and spiritual functions. Perhaps one of the most significant examples of this tradition is the Eastern Gate of Jerusalem, also known as the Golden Gate. Steeped in religious symbolism and historical significance, the Golden Gate holds a special place in Christian tradition. According to some accounts, it is believed to be the site where Mary's parents reunited after the Annunciation, symbolizing the virgin birth of Jesus. Furthermore, it is said that Jesus passed through this gate on Palm Sunday, adding another layer of spiritual importance. These associations have transformed the Eastern Gate into a symbol of both historical events and prophetic expectations. The story of the Eastern Gate is deeply layered, combining elements of history, theology, and prophecy. Closed for centuries, the gate's sealed state has become a powerful symbol of spiritual anticipation and divine mystery. According to Christian tradition, the closure of the gate by Sultan Suleiman in the 16th century fulfills a prophecy from the book of Ezekiel, which speaks of a gate that remains shut because the Lord has entered through it. This act of sealing the gate has only heightened its symbolic value, transforming it from a mere architectural feature into a profound representation of the connection between the earthly and the divine. The Golden Gate's enduring legacy invites believers to reflect on its spiritual and historical significance. It has borne witness to countless significant events, making it a focal point for those seeking to understand the interplay between faith and history. Its presence in Jerusalem's sacred landscape serves as a tangible link to the past, offering believers a way to connect with the foundational moments of their faith while looking forward to the fulfillment of God's promises. As a sealed structure, the Eastern Gate raises intriguing questions about its role as a conduit to the divine. Is it merely a human creation imbued with symbolic meaning, or does it hold a deeper spiritual significance as a gateway to the presence of God? This mystery invites reflection and exploration, encouraging believers to delve into the rich history and prophetic promises associated with the gate. Its closure, rather than diminishing its importance, has amplified its role as a testament to the enduring relationship between humanity and the divine. The Eastern Gate transcends its physical form, becoming a symbol of the timeless connection between people and their Creator. It represents the unbroken thread of faith that has shaped Jerusalem's history and continues to inspire millions around the world. Whether viewed as a literal gateway to the divine or a metaphorical expression of spiritual expectation, the Golden Gate remains an enduring testament to the profound spiritual heritage of Jerusalem. Its significance as a symbol of faith, hope, and divine promise ensures its place in the hearts of believers for generations to come. In conclusion, the eastward orientation in Christian tradition serves as a profound reminder of the hope for Christ's return. From the alignment of churches and city gates to the symbolism of sacred landmarks like the Golden Gate, this practice reflects the deep interconnection between faith, history, and daily life. It is a tangible expression of a spiritual truth that unites past remembrance with future anticipation, creating a living faith that shapes the present. The enduring legacy of the Eastern Gate and similar landmarks invites believers to explore the mysteries of their faith and to live with a sense of purpose and hope, grounded in the promise of Christ's return. It is said that the Golden Gate of Jerusalem has opened, an event that cannot be accidental in the midst of world events. These signs, for those who believe, are the voice of God, a reminder to all humanity. He wants us to be awake, to pay attention to what is most important, to prepare our hearts and lives for His return. God calls people to abandon their sinful ways and return to fidelity, truth, and love. He wants us to live not for our own benefit, but for a future guided by His light. He reminds us that forgiveness and mutual love will be the keys that open the door to redemption. The Golden Gate has opened, as if God's door of hope is ready to receive devout souls. This is not the time to continue to be infatuated with the vanities of the world, but the time to pray, to purify your heart, to prepare for His glorious return. Love, forgive, and make your heart a place for God to dwell. We must understand that nothing is by chance, and these signs are His reminders. The day is near, and the Lord will return in glory to fulfill the promise of the ages.
Brothers, I still can't believe what I just saw. The Golden Gate in Jerusalem, the gate that everyone said had been closed for centuries, suddenly opened before our eyes today. At that moment, I held my breath. People stood tightly, some cried, some prayed, and everyone was filled with emotions that I had never seen before. This is not fiction. This is reality. How many generations have we waited? How many times have we prayed for this day? The moment that the gate opened, I felt as if all our hopes, all our prayers had been answered, as if He had sent us a sign that He was returning, that the miracle we had been waiting for was very close. I don't know if you felt the same way, but in that moment, I truly felt the presence of God. The prophecies, the Bible verses that we have read over and over again, are no longer words on a page, but living reality. I cannot contain my emotions. It is a miracle that we are witnesses to.
Here are some reactions from some people to the post above. There have been many different reactions expressed.
What a miracle! I cried when I heard this news. Thank God for giving us this divine sign. The Lord is near, brothers. Strengthen your faith. This is a strong reminder for all of us. We must prepare our hearts and live according to His teachings. Don't let time pass without being ready for the Lord's return.
However, there are also many opinions that disagree with the post.
The gate opening is probably just a coincidence. There is no miracle here. Don't be so hasty in interpreting it. The Golden Gate probably opened due to weather factors or a technical problem. Don't forget that this is an ancient structure. Unexpected things happening are not too strange.
The Golden Gate, also known as the Eastern Gate or the Gate of Mercy, is an extraordinary site steeped in history and spiritual significance. Located on the eastern wall of Jerusalem's Old City, it is a structure that has fascinated pilgrims, scholars, and travelers for centuries. Jerusalem, with its ancient walls and countless historical narratives, remains a city of immense significance to many of the world's major faiths, and the Golden Gate plays a unique role in the spiritual landscape that links Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The Eastern Gate faces the Mount of Olives, standing proudly along the eastern side of the Temple Mount. The Romans destroyed the gate, along with the Second Temple, in 70 AD, but its legacy continued to resonate deeply within the religious and historical imagination of many cultures. The gate remains of particular interest due to its connection to prophecies and the idea of divine intervention. Throughout history, the sealed gate has been associated with hope, redemption, and the anticipation of monumental events. The gate has gone by many names, but its spiritual value has remained constant. For many, the Golden Gate is the most significant of the 8 gates of Jerusalem. The Old City is encircled by walls that contain 8 major gates: Herod's Gate, Damascus Gate, New Gate, Jaffa Gate, Zion Gate, Dung Gate, the Lion's Gate, and of course, the Eastern Gate. Each gate holds its own stories, but the Golden Gate stands apart due to its profound connection with the divine and its role in prophecy. The Golden Gate was built sometime between the 6th and 7th centuries AD, making it the oldest of the existing gates in the old city walls. Its unique sealed state has inspired countless interpretations, and according to Christian, Jewish, and Islamic traditions, this closure is linked to divine will. For Christians, the gate's closure fulfills the prophecy from Ezekiel 44, which states that the gate would remain closed until a messianic figure enters Jerusalem. The gate is believed to be the passage through which the Messiah will enter the city, marking the fulfillment of divine promises. According to Christian tradition, the prince mentioned in Ezekiel is Jesus Christ, and his return will symbolize the culmination of God's redemptive plan for humanity. The gate's physical location adds another layer to its profound symbolism. Directly across from the gate lies the Kidron Valley, and beyond that, the Mount of Olives, a place of deep spiritual resonance. In Matthew 21, the New Testament recounts that Jesus entered Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives, and it is believed that the entry point was the location of the current Golden Gate. This connection highlights the gate's role as a bridge between the past and the anticipated future, linking significant moments in the life of Jesus to prophecies about his return. The Mount of Olives is equally important in Jewish tradition. It is the resting place for an extensive Jewish cemetery, which has been in use for over 3,000 years. Many devout Jews wish to be buried here because it is believed that the Messiah will come to the Mount of Olives to establish an everlasting kingdom. The desire to be buried on the Mount of Olives is rooted in a prophecy by the Jewish prophet Zechariah, who wrote, "His feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east." Zechariah 14:4. According to the prophecy, when the Messiah arrives, the mountain will split, creating a great valley, and the righteous dead will be resurrected. This belief makes burial on the Mount of Olives particularly sought after, adding another layer of meaning to the Eastern Gate. It is no wonder that the cost of burial on this sacred site is so high. Many believe that those buried here will be the first to witness the arrival of the Messiah, making it a coveted place for those looking to be part of this monumental event. The significance of the Golden Gate is not limited to its connection to prophecies and the anticipation of a messianic figure. Its closure has a fascinating historical context that adds to its allure. The gate was sealed in the 16th century during the reign of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent of the Ottoman Empire. According to tradition, Suleiman sealed the gate to prevent the Messiah's entry into Jerusalem, as he was aware of the Jewish prophecy that the Messiah would enter through this gate. The closing of the gate was intended as a form of spiritual fortification, a symbolic act that transcended mere defense. It resonates with the prophecies cherished by Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike, and has become a powerful symbol of anticipation for future divine intervention. For Christians, the sealed gate is more than a historical curiosity. It is a profound symbol of Jesus' unique role as the mediator between humanity and the divine. The gate's closure symbolizes the fulfillment of ancient prophecies and serves as a reminder of Jesus' promise to return. The New Testament speaks of Jesus as the way to salvation, and the closed gate symbolizes this concept, reinforcing the belief that Jesus alone is the key to entering the kingdom of God. This concept of exclusivity of the gate remaining closed until the prince arrives is echoed throughout Christian theology, where Jesus is seen as the only path to divine grace. The anticipation surrounding the Golden Gate is also evident within Islamic tradition, which holds its own beliefs about the significance of the site. Muslims recognize the importance of the gate and the Mount of Olives, which is closely associated with the end times and divine judgment. The Dome of the Rock, located nearby on the Temple Mount, is also deeply significant within Islamic tradition, as it is believed to mark the place where Abraham came to sacrifice his son. The convergence of these important sites highlights the interconnectedness of these three major religions and the shared reverence for this sacred area. The Golden Gate's closure serves as a reminder of the interconnected histories and prophecies of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, each of which looks to this site as a place where divine intervention is expected to occur. For many believers, standing before this sealed gate evokes a deep sense of awe and anticipation. The gate is a powerful symbol, a physical structure that represents humanity's longing for redemption, the hope for divine intervention, and the fulfillment of sacred promises. The Golden Gate, with its arches sealed and its stones weathered by the passage of time, is more than just an ancient architectural feature. It is a testament to the enduring hope of believers across different faiths. The narratives that surround the gate are filled with profound symbolism, spiritual aspirations, and the promise of salvation. The anticipation of the Messiah's arrival, whether understood through the lens of Jewish, Christian, or Islamic beliefs, speaks to the human yearning for a better future, for the establishment of an everlasting kingdom characterized by peace and divine justice. As one stands before the Golden Gate, it is impossible not to reflect on its deep significance. The gate, closed for centuries, is a symbol that transcends mere stone and mortar. It represents the profound hopes of millions, the promises of God, and the anticipation of a future that is yet to unfold. Whether as a symbol of divine grace, a sign of prophecy, or a simple reminder of the enduring human spirit, the Golden Gate continues to inspire and evoke powerful emotions, standing as an ancient sentinel over Jerusalem, waiting for the day when its story will finally come to pass. The Eastern Gate of Jerusalem, also known as the Golden Gate, is deeply significant in both Jewish and Christian traditions, featuring prominently in prophecy, rituals, and beliefs regarding redemption and atonement. Its historical, spiritual, and future roles are interwoven with key biblical events and prophecies that make it a point of great importance. The Eastern Gate is one of the most iconic gates of the Old City of Jerusalem, often linked with Messianic prophecies and expectations. According to the book of Ezekiel, the Eastern Gate plays a central role in the prophetic future of Jerusalem. Ezekiel 44:1-2 describes the gate being shut and remaining closed, as it has a unique purpose. Then the Lord said to me, "This gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no one shall enter by it, because the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered by it. Therefore, it shall be shut." This implies a divine significance, suggesting that God's presence has sanctified the gate. In verse 3, Ezekiel adds that the prince will use this gate to enter and sit in the presence of the Lord, hinting at the Messiah. In Ezekiel 43:4, it is further foretold that the glory of God will re-enter the temple through the Eastern Gate in the final days. The glory of the Lord came into the house by the way of the gate facing toward the east. This has led many to interpret the gate as the place through which God's presence will return to the earth, connecting the gate with the future redemption of humanity and the return of divine glory. The Eastern Gate is not only significant in prophecies about the future, but has also played an essential role in historical rituals. During biblical times, this gate held a crucial place in the rituals associated with Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. According to the Mishnah, the ancient Jewish oral tradition, the Day of Atonement involved a unique and powerful ritual that used the Eastern Gate. 2 goats were brought before the high priest. One of these goats was sacrificed as a sin offering in the temple courtyard, atoning for the sins of the people, the most holy place, and the altar. The second goat, known as the scapegoat, carried the sins of the Israelites. The high priest would place his hands on the head of the scapegoat, confessing the sins of the people. This goat was then led out through the Eastern Gate, across the Kidron Valley, and into the wilderness, symbolically carrying away the sins of the nation. Tradition also holds that this scapegoat was eventually led to the Judean wilderness and even thrown off a cliff to ensure it could not return. This ritual is understood to represent the cleansing of the community's transgressions, making the Eastern Gate a focal point for the community's hopes for forgiveness and purity. There are also stories of a special archway that crossed the Kidron Valley, which was constructed to prevent contact with the dead bodies buried in the valley's cemetery, which could render participants ritually unclean. Thus, the Eastern Gate and the Kidron Valley were deeply entwined with the spiritual purity required for atonement. In Christian tradition, the Eastern Gate takes on profound significance due to its connection with Jesus Christ. Christians believe that Jesus, as the fulfillment of the Messianic prophecies, entered through this gate during his triumphal entry into Jerusalem, which is commemorated on Palm Sunday. This event is seen as the beginning of the culmination of Jesus' earthly mission to atone for the sins of humanity.